Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje.
There you go.
He's
Hi.
with us,
How
and
about
we're
that?
so excited. Co-stars in Concussion.
All right, he plays in this movie a very key role. If you're a football fan, you know the name Dave Duerson. His suicide marked a turning point in the discovery of a degenerative disease caused by repeated football injuries. All right, here you are with Will Smith playing Smith plays the doctor who later discovered the condition that we now know as CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
You know, my father can't remember a thing. He never played a day of football. He was too busy working in a factory, you quack.
I beg your pardon.
You take your science, go back to Africa, and get away from our game.
There is so much in that scene, in that moment we looked at. First of all, how have you been?
I'm great,
You're pretty
man.
busy, I gotta tell you.
Thanks so much for having me back.
All right. There's so much in that scene. There is Will Smith playing the doctor who has discovered this brain anomaly in different football players. The football establishment hates him because he's doing this. You, as playing Dave Duerson, who was a very successful football player, represent those who think that he's trying to destroy not only the game, but it's almost like anti-American. So talk to us about that.
Well, it was a very, very difficult situation for Dave Duerson. I mean, he was a phenomenal player, pretty much won every accolade that a player could win on the field, but he was one of the first players to go from the field to the boardroom. So he was representing the players on the NFL Pensions League.
And he was a businessman and held up as such a success pro football life.
Yeah, he was the penultimate success from athlete to businessman.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of pressure on him, you know, because he was the only player in the boardroom who was actually played, you know, on the field.
Right.
And he had to represent their views. And many of the claims for pensions he turned down. Now, why did he turn him down? Was he just, as some say, playing the Uncle Tom in there and trying to, you know, push himself? Or was it a case of, well, he had played the game to its fullest extent. He hadn't suffered any of the ailments that they were talking about. So he figured, well, maybe these are a result of other things. And then at the same time, I mean, look, Dave is also thinking, well, in the scene that you saw, is he actually under the, you know, influence of CT at the time?
Yes.
So we don't actually know what was going on, but it's very likely, as we saw, the outcome of his life, that he may have been suffering from the disease himself.
As you played the role, were you playing it with the suggestion that perhaps that all his mental abilities were not at play?
Certainly, the confrontation with Bennett Amalo, who's played brilliantly by Will Smith there, that was the beginnings of when, in Dave's life, things weren't going according to plan. And definitely, that's when he may have been under the influence.
And in that scene, I said there's a lot of levels going on there. Here you are, an African-American football player telling an African who becomes an African-American to go back to Africa. He's from Nigeria, and you are Nigerian in life.
Yeah, in real life.
There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot. I mean, obviously, it's particularly special for me because Bennett Amalo is not only an American hero, but he's also a Nigerian hero. I'm of Nigerian heritage. And the irony is, obviously, Will is American, he's playing Nigerian, and I'm a Nigerian who's playing American. But I think that's the wonders of being an actor, that you traverse these
By the way, have you
roles.
seen Uzo is here?
I heard that she's with me.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it. This is a
all
Nigerian day, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, we definitely want to also get to Trumbo.
Yes.
Leave some time to talk about that film. Tell us a little bit about the film.
Oh, it's another great film. I mean, both of these films are true stories. Both are sort of like David versus Goliath themes. I mean, Dalton Trumbo, who we know his films, you know, Roman Holiday, Spartacus, the brave one, but we don't know the man behind it. And I play a character by the name of Virgil Brooks, and Dalton Trumbo is sentenced to 11 months in prison because he refuses to talk about his communist alliances. And that's when he meets my character, and the relationship between them is somewhat transformative for Dalton Trumbo because he's a very intelligent man, almost intimidating with his wit, and he comes across my character who is seemingly uneducated and just an inmate, but he has a rude awakening, and there's a mutual respect that is born between them.
Yeah, you're also in Game of Thrones.
I was
We
going
should
to say,
mention
do you
that.
like playing real life characters and roles? But then we have Game of Thrones.
We have Game of Thrones. We have
different...
Suicide Squads. I mean, it's all acting, but when you're playing real life characters, some tragic, as in Dave Duerson, and with Dalton Trumbo, I think you just have more to resources to pull upon when you're playing real life.
I want to
characters.
make the point about Dave Duerson. It's not a spoiler because people know the story. Dave Duerson, who was adamantly opposed to the whole concept of brain injury, ended up committing suicide, and specifically did not shoot himself in the head so that his brain can be studied afterwards, because he knew. All right, before we go, we have such split minds. I think we all agree that the NFL did not do what it should do, did not face up to the fact they were protecting what they call the shield, and yet we love the NFL. Yeah.
Well, and that's the irony. I think even though you're going to watch this film and see some of the risks that it illuminates, I actually came away with a healthy respect for the game. Well, because of the sacrifices.
And that's throughout the movie. One other thing, I saw the movie. There were some charges before that the movie went soft on the NFL and backed off because of pressures put upon them. I saw the movie. I don't see where they could have backed off.
I mean, I think those charges were levied by those who hadn't seen the movie.
Yeah, they are not easy. This movie's not easy on the
it's
NFL.
An uncompromising
I wish you were sticking around. I had so much to ask you. You have the most fascinating life.
Well, hopefully
Next time, you have
we'll
to
be
come
back.
back.
You're going to have Suicide Squad, all kinds of stuff to talk about.
All right,
Sounds
you're always
good.
welcome here as always.
Always
Thank you so much.
Concussion opens on Christmas
And who is our guest?
Day. Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje.
There you go. Triple A for those who can't say it.
We'll be back.